This is a picture that I've had for years. It's an old home interior picture, and I love it. It's just he's cutting hay with a farmhouse. I've had it on the wall for years, but I'm not getting rid of it. I just gonna put it up for a little while until I find a new home for it. But I will show you what's going up where it lived. So I put this on here. It says, "In memory of my loving husband, Randy." And it's got his name and when he was born and died. And it says the frame was made by Randy. And then it shows that I painted it in 2019. And I called it, I'll tell you what I called it in a minute. Let me show you where it's going. So I finally found the home for Randy's picture that I painted him. I moved that picture and put it in the dining room. And so I'm going to name this the old home place because it was the old home place of my grandparents, and my mom grew up here, and I grew up most of the time here. My kids grew up here, and so this is just a memory of Randy. It's the first painting that I've painted that I've hung, other than the one that I made him for our 18th anniversary. It's the only one I've ever hung up of my painting, and this is the frame that he made, so I'm very, very happy with it. Hey y'all, I want to talk to you today about widowhood. I'm at my second one today. I wanted this to be positive, but I can tell you there's still some negative things. There's so much negative that you're going to get both. You're going to get positive and you're going to get negative, so I'm just going to tell you up front. It's been 2 years without Randy. I can honestly sit here and say widowhood still stinks. It really does. But it's like in anything in life, there's going to be negative and there's going to be positive, and you have to try to find the positive in anything you do. And so 2 years without him physically being here, it still affects all of us. I mean, it's never not going to affect us. So I'll just go there. It's never not going to. The boys, they still mourn their daddy's loss. My daughter-in-law still mourns her father-in-law, and the grandchildren. You know, we still talk about Granddaddy some and try to, keep his memory alive. Abel is 2. He was 3.5 months old when Randy passed, and he knows Granddaddy's pictures. And when we go into the bedroom, he wants to put on Granddaddy's hat, and I let him wear Granddaddy's hat. So those are little memories, things that he, knows they're Granddaddy's. Randy had change beside the bed, and Elizabeth, even now, she'll go and she'll look down at it and touch it, and it's some on the floor. Some fell out and got on the floor, because I still add a little bit to the change drawer sometime. And she says, "That's Granddaddy's." I said, "Yes, that's Granddaddy's." So, and it's just amazing to me. I was talking to Lee a few months ago. I'm not going to tell you what the habit was, but it was a habit that Randy always done. Andrew has that same habit. Silas was here the other day. He's 5. And he was sitting in the chair listening to his schoolwork. But I noticed he had that same habit that his daddy and his granddaddy has. So it's just funny how things can be passed down. And they're not, Randy's not here. Andrew is, to show his kids, what he learned watching his daddy. And so, it's not a bad habit. I don't think. It's just something they do. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's new dreams. Of course, you have to work. You have to make a living. And you have to try to keep on pushing on to do the best you can. And Daniel started a new job, trying to better himself a little bit more. They still have hopes and desires, and they have individual dreams, but then we have a dream, trying to work on our business as far as, the bakery and selling produce and stuff, and maybe doing our own gardens and stuff. So that, it's all things that you just have to keep going on. Life is always changing. It's always rotating, and it's sometimes sad because knowing Randy's not here doing that.
But on the other side, I have to think about how he's happy because he's with the Lord. He is, in my mind, it's been 2 years. Every day I've lived 2 years without him. But it's nothing in the time with the Lord. And in my human mind, I know how to love. I had that love with Randy. I had that love with the children. And I still have that love with Randy. But that compares nothing to the love that the Lord has for us. And so it's hard to imagine that love that the Lord does have. I mean, I know that Jesus came down to earth to die for us, for our sins. I know that. And I read it and I study it and I have it in my heart. But it still sometimes it overblows the mind. And the beauty of heaven and all that it has to offer, I just can't imagine what Randy's enjoying. And yet, there's no time. All we know is time to get up, time to eat, time to go to work, time to come home, time to wash the dishes, time to sweep the floor, time to clean the yards, time to cut the grass. We know everything has time, yet there's no time there. And it's just, I just can't imagine what all he is enjoying. I want to find out for myself one day, but right now I just have a hard time comprehending that. The best way I can describe widowhood, if you've ever been fishing and you catch a fish and you put him on side the bank, you got to put him back in that water or put him in a bucket or he's going to die. But if you just lay him on the ground for just a second, he's going to flip and flop and flip and flop and flip and flop. That's how widowhood is. You flip and flop, hoping somebody's going to throw you back in that pond with your husband, but yet they put you in the bucket. And you're the only one that'll fit in that bucket. That's how I describe widowhood. Because you have these, I'm going to make it. And then you're going to have those moments, I can't make it. How can I carry on without him? And how do I want to carry on without him? That's the biggest thing. How do I want to carry on? It's by the grace of God, and it's one day at a time. The first year, I post something on Facebook, and friends or somebody would say, you got to trust the Lord. It will get better. At those moments, you just want to say, shut up. I don't want to add advice. I just want to mourn it. I just want to cry. And there was a lot of crying that first year. I will tell you that. Being out in the field drilling wells with Dan, it was just me and Daniel a lot of times. And so I had a lot of time that I just sat and I would think about, well, he would have been here. He would have been doing this. He would have been doing that. Yada, yada, yada. And I'd cry. I missed him. You don't just lose your spouse, your love. You lose. For me, I lost my livelihood. Because I was, like I said, a stay-at-home mom, and he took care of us, of me. And so all that changed. So I had a lot of time that I did cry. And of course, there's a lot of that grieving that you've got to just go through. I still grieve for him, but it is a little different now. I'm so busy with the grandkids. There are times that I do have to sit and I cry. They might not know it. Something to bring a memory or something, and tears will come up. Even, we rode the golf cart the other week, and it just got down in the blues because he wasn't here. It's just simple little things like that. But going back to being busy, I'm so busy with the bakery and with the grandkids that I don't have a lot of luxury free time to sit and mourn like I did, which is a good thing. It is a good thing. There are times that the missing him and the grief still gets so overwhelming. There's times that I cry, and there's times that I wish, the first year I cried so much, there was times I wish I could just stop crying. But then again, that was the way that I showed that I loved him. And I still love him. But there's times now I wish the tears would come, because it's just like it builds up inside and there's just no tears. But you just want to hold yours or scream to the top of your voice, "Get out of my body, grief," because it's just, it's the depression of it is sometimes just missing him so much is just overwhelming. I try to think about, Randy wasn't all my happiness. My joy comes from the Lord. And just like with my relationship with God, my relationship is always there. But sometimes I need a little extra loving from the Lord. And so I have to go spend more time in prayer and ask for that help. It's the same way with Miss and Randy. There's times that I'm doing okay with it, and there's times it just feels like it's just so overwhelming that I have to go to the Lord and get help to get me through it, because it's overwhelming. I try to find things that will give me joy, happiness. I said joys with my Lord, but put happiness in my life, because there are days that I can sit on the front porch. I would sit in my rocking chair, and he would sit in the swing beside me, and he would turn, face the road, and we'd sit there and rock and swing and talk. There's days that I find such happiness and joy and comfort sitting on that front porch, and then there's days that I hate it. It's the same with the golf cart. There's days that I love going out and riding it, and then there's days that I just miss him being right there beside me so much that I can hardly breathe. I often think about if the shoe had been on the other foot, if I had left and he was here. We had that discussion. I think I've told you before. We've had the discussion several times of not remarrying. And just a few months before he got sick, he had told me again, he said, "If something happens to you, I'll not remarry." And I said the same thing. So as far as dating or looking for somebody else, that's not on my mind. And I take comfort in knowing that would not have been on his mind. I think about what would he be doing if I was gone. And I often think, work. He worked. I work. I just don't do this same kind of work he did. He would have had to come home, wash clothes, cook meals. I do those things. He would have spent time with the family. I do that. Just a few days before he got sick and went to the hospital, he wasn't feeling good. He said, "Let's go see the grandbabies." So that brought him comfort, brings me comfort. So I know that those things that I do that he would have done if it had been the other way around. And I know that might sound kind of crazy, but sometimes just knowing that if I had not been here and he was here, he would still be carrying on with his life the way we carried on, brings me comfort. I carry on the way we would have carried on. He would have went golf cart riding. I ride the golf cart. Church, the Lord, that is the most important relationship that anybody can have. And he would still have it. Lord willing, he would still have it. And I try to have that relationship with the Lord still. Hobbies, that's been about the only thing we would have been different at, is he liked hunting and fishing. He was an outside guy. He did not like being inside. Y'all know I love painting and sewing, so that's my hobbies. That would have been, he would have done his hobbies, where he would have done his hobbies more with the boys. I'm not really a fisherman. I can go, but I don't really fish, so there's no sense in buying a hunt and fishing license. You have to buy those now. And I don't hunt at all. And I was going to go with Andrew, and they've made it where now you have to have a license even just to go sit. So I said, what's the sense in paying $50 for a license just to go sit? So, but I did enjoy going and sitting in the woods with Randy. It was fun. And so that's things that I still go sit in the woods and just enjoy nature, because it's something that we did together. I was talking to Daniel about this very thing the other day, and he said, Daddy would have probably stayed out longer with work. I said, yeah, like I did the first year. He said, yeah, because we literally got up at before daylight, and we got home. Sometimes it was A lot of times it's around 7, but a lot of times, sometimes it was around, I remember getting home almost 11 o'clock at night. And those are long hours. You just be wore out and ready to go to bed and get back up. And that's pretty well some of the things that Randy would probably have done. Like I said, I take comfort in knowing he wouldn't have changed his life. He wouldn't have been going places he shouldn't be going. He wouldn't have been going to see somebody. He would have just lived his life the way we lived our life. And I still live our life the way. It's just, he's not there. He's just not there. I still go to the same places and eat that we have went. I'm not crazy about going out to eat by myself. In the past year, I did go out twice by myself. I went to a little hamburger joint here, not far from the house. They have very good hamburgers. And so I went for supper one night by myself. I sit at a table with 6 people could sit out because a lot of the tables was big, or either you sit next to the wall on the little tables. And don't put me near the wall. I like to be out. And I sat there and I watched people as they come and go, but I played on my phone some and spent time with my phone. It wasn't very interesting, but wasn't a lot in there to talk to, so that was a good thing. There was a crowd in there. And the second time I went, I had taken Scott up to North Carolina to drop him off for a job. He was working, he's a truck driver, and he was going to a new company. And I had taken him up there to drop him off. And on the way is Bob Evans. And that was one of our favorite places to eat. I had not been to Bob Evans since last time we went was when we had went on our trip right before he got sick. And so I decided to go to Bob Evans. I played back and forth in my mind, I was not going, and then Scott said, "Mama, you should go. How often are you going to get up here?" And he was right. And so I called Daniel and told him, I said, I'm going to go to Bob Evans. Or I went to Bob Evans and then I called him. And he said, "Daddy would be so proud of you. I'm proud of you." I sat there and I had to wipe some tears. But I did pretty good. It wasn't a crowd. It was the morning meal. And so I got my breakfast and I ate. And then I came home. And that's been a while since I've done that. I just do not like going out to eat by myself. And I'm blessed enough that usually when I go out to eat, it's usually me or Daniel, my friend. She'll go with me. A lot of times it'll be me, her, and Daniel will go out and eat. And then I may go out with Leah or and the young'uns, or sometimes Andrew might be there. And I've been out with all the family. Around Christmas we all went out. So that was, I enjoy that. I do enjoy that with the family, or having somebody there to at least. Daniel and I might go out and eat and not say a word to each other because we talk so much, of places. It was the same way with Randy. We talk so much, we had our quiet moments, but we had our blah, 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 blah moments. Did you understand that? We had our babbling moments, I reckon. But it was I'd just rather be with somebody going out to eat than being by myself. I want to talk about, I was getting off on I wouldn't make a good preacher because I'd get off on rabbit trails. Talking about happiness. Was I always happy with Randy? No. There was times I got mad with Randy. There were times he got mad with me. There were times that I loved him so much I could have ate him. And then there's other times I wish I had ate him. You know what I'm saying? That's just married life. That's just married life. But I wasn't, things in life come along that you're not always happy, with your situations and things. But I think on a positive attitude, you have to keep looking for things that make you happy. It sounds crazy. Sometimes just looking at his picture, or going to his grave, or doing something that we would have done together brings me happiness. Sometimes it makes me cry. sometimes it brings me happiness. There's that fish again, flip-flopping all over the place. But that's emotions and that's feelings, and that's going to happen to everybody. First of all, God brings me the peace and the happiness that I need. But there's other things that I like. I enjoy my family, my boys and my daughter-in-law, my grandchildren, spending time with them. That brings me happiness. There's times that I may not be as happy even being with them. It's just, there's that ache again. But I still try to, when those little kids look in your face and they smile and they say, I love you, that brings you joy and happiness. That's just it. But, I'm not always with them. I like YouTubing, and I like when y'all leave me comments. I love that. I love to interact with y'all, and that brings me happiness. So keep coming. Give me a thumbs up and share me. But I do enjoy YouTubing, and sometimes I run out of ideas on what to say, on what to do, and I just don't do any videos when I can't think of anything. But when I can think, I try to do them. Painting, of course, like I said, is a big stress reliever. Andrew said he was listening to a thing that says if you spend 10 minutes doing a hobby, he said you'd be surprised at how it brings the stress level down. Yeah, I couldn't believe that. I enjoy embroidering. I love embroidering. I just don't need to make that many projects because I don't have anywhere to put them. But I do enjoy sewing, and I'm blessed. I do like baking, so I'm good at that. I'm good at that. I'm glad at that I can do something I enjoy doing. I enjoy being with the grandkids and homeschooling most of the time. Sometimes it gets a little trying, but I still do enjoy it. This morning, I got up to see Daniel off, and the moon was on the west side of the house. Just beautiful and bright. And then on the east side, I came to the front door, and there's the sun coming up. It's those small things that the Lord gives me that I can find happiness in, and peace and relaxation and happiness. So it's little things, the dogs. I like when they come running around and I can talk to them and they just wag all over themselves because they just, their whole bodies are shaking. They're just so happy to get that a little bit of attention from the master. That should be how we are when the Lord talks to us. We should be wagging all over the place because we're getting attention from the master. That would be all the time, right? Because we're always on his mind. That's the great thing about God. We are always on his mind. I'm not the best house decorator, and I'm not the best housekeeper, but I enjoy decorating. I don't have a lot of money to do it, and I don't have a lot of things that I want to bring into the house that I, if I see something and I have the money for it, I may purchase it and bring it into the house. But I may move things around, and that gives it a new it looks different than it did last time. So it's just, I do like decorating some. It's just the golf cart brings me happiness. Going out to eat, enjoying, a good conversation. I enjoy the bakery. With homeschooling, we sell Thursday, Fridays, and Saturdays. So Thursdays and Fridays, I'm doing homeschool. Plus, I have the younger two usually in the house, and if I have to bake, then I have to bake. And then whatever Leah needs, she just calls, and then I'll get it packaged up and send. Abel is so cute. He is so cute. He'll get that little basket, and he'll run out there. Now Elizabeth is too. They both do it. All of them will do it. But with the other two in school, I usually ask Elizabeth and Abel to take turns. But the other day it was a Saturday, I think. And so I started with Abigail, then I done Silas, Elizabeth. And Abel was so upset. He didn't think he was going to get a turn, but he finally got his little turn to run stuff out to the bakery and back. But usually that was a cold Saturday, so that's why we stayed inside. But usually, if it's not too bad, which this Saturday, past Saturday was really cold, I'll go out there, and when customers come, I get to run my mouth. And so that's always a good thing, to get to run your mouth. Well, providing you're running it right. But like I said, it's those little things that I have to find the positive in, because it's so easy. I don't know if it is with you, but it is so easy to be negative. Like I've told you many times, Randy was a positive person. I remember years ago having a friend that I would go see every week. And this friend was so negative. It was making me negative. And I finally just had to break off the friendship, because I couldn't afford to let that become me. I've been around other people who's been negative, and it'll rub off on you if you don't watch it. And I don't want to be negative that it rubs off on anybody. I want it to be positive that can rub off on people. And sometimes I have to say that being positive, having Randy be positive, really irked me sometimes when I was in a negative mood. But usually, that didn't last very long. And so a positive attitude is a wonderful thing to have. And yep, you're going to grieve. Yep, you're going to cry. Yep, you're going to wish I could sit down and hold my breath until the spirit left the body, because I ache to be with him so much. But this afterlife is not about Randy. It's about God. Randy's just a piece of the cream on a cherry on top. And I don't like cherries, but he's the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae, I reckon you could say. But yeah, it's just trying to find some happiness in any kind of walk you do. If it's married life, if it's single life, if it's being a widow, if it's being divorced, finding happiness in whatever you do. Thanks for watching, y'all, and God bless.
You taking that to Mama? Okay, go ahead and take it. Now, don't drop it. This is so cute, y'all. I just had to get it on video. He walks over to the bakery, to the shed. To the shed over there, and takes it to his mama. Sometimes she'll come out if he knows he's coming. Sometimes he catches her off guard, and then he'll walk back. This video wasn't as cute because he didn't get to walk as far. But it's still cute. Look at that little face. Hey, Abel. Hey. Hey. You helping Grandma and Mama? Thank you.